Hello and welcome to the MetaMax video update. This is kind of going to be a cross between the patch update that I do on the major patches and the update for the Innisphere variance tier list, which is what's on the screen right now. So basically what I'm going to do is go through the quirk changes and read over basically how those apply to the tier list, how that changes builds, if builds change, if they change position, etc, etc, etc. Let's just get started, shall we? First I want to go over the changes in position. As you can see, there wasn't a whole lot of that, but the Stalker 4N moved up to tier 1. It was necessary, it's just such a great mech. I think it was in the top of tier 2 before, now it's tier 1, great. For heavies, the 5SS moved up, it jumped over the 9S. I'm still keeping the 9S in tier 1 for now because it does have very powerful long range potential thanks to the extra eager PPC velocity, but it did get nerfed as far as heat generation goes. And for mediums, I added the Enforcers. Those came out yesterday. The 4R is the only one that's really kind of tickling my fancy, but the other ones are in here as well. As you can see, the other two are tier 4. Enforcer 4R is tier 2. I moved the Gridiron up to tier 2. It had to happen. It was just so good. Well, it's not so good, but it was good enough. It was better than the other mediums. A lot of the other mediums by a considerable margin. And I also played a bit of shuffle with the Blackjacks thanks to the quirk changes. And for lights, I added the Panthers. And so let's go into more detail. I changed a lot of builds, like all these italics, those are new builds in there. That's because of the quirk changes. The thing is that I didn't think the quirk changes were enough to really make me even want to move any of them, for the most part, even within their tier. Like, they're still, for the most part, they're still pretty much as powerful as they were before, even in the same builds, which a lot of them do have as well. For example, you'll see the Orions, the only one that changed, I think, is the Protector. Just because, quirks changed, but for the most part the build stayed the same. But let's look at the individual builds now. Alright, first Stalker 4N. I updated this one to 5 large lasers, just because I felt it was better and easier to control than 6, although 6 now works better now that we have the 3 large laser ghost heat stuff. It's not the perfect build, but it's good. Next up, what's next italicized thing? We've got the Atlas S. This used to be SRM4s. Sorry, my dog is scratching my computer. She's trying to stretch. But now I changed it to SRM6s, because now it's got generic SRM6 quirk, or generic SRM quirks rather than SRM4 specific. And I've always kind of liked this build better. And so, that's what that happened there. What's next is the Banshee 3M. They got rid of its large pulse laser quirks. Now that they've introduced the champion with 6 large pulse lasers or whatever. And so I moved it over to mediums and larges. This gives it a lot more range, because it did also get extra medium laser quirks. And the large lasers aren't as hot as they used to, effectively, because they don't have the same ghost heat limit. This 4 large lasers does still break ghost heat, but it doesn't break it by that much, so I think it'll be okay. And you can fire 2 at a time anyways. Next up, we've got the Highlander Heavy Metal. Now, I think I just made some weird mistake before with this. The build was just bad, so I updated to this one you're seeing now, which is better. I think I ended up dropping a half ton of ammo in the standard 305 to a 300 for extra heat sinks. I'll take it. 3 large lasers can get hot after a while. 1S, I changed this build from 2 15s and 2 10s, and I added medium lasers and LRM, just 4 LRM 10s instead of the combination. I think this does end up being a bit hotter, because of the medium lasers, but medium lasers are nice backup weapons, and LRM 10s are a really nice sweet spot for spread of missiles and cooldown and stuff like that. And yeah, overall it's just pretty good. Sorry about that, it stopped recording for a second, but we were at the Battlemaster 1S. Next up is the Battlemaster 3M. We can look over here for that. The quirks are different for this. It's got ERPPC quirks and medium lasers, so that's what I wanted to use. You could still use the 8 medium pulse build. I do think the generic's got a minor hit, but this will work too. Like, those mounts are very high, so if you peek your left torso just over a thingy, shoot off those ERPPCs, they'll straight to the target very quickly. It won't cause as much heat as they should, and it'll just be nice. And plus 6 medium lasers is pretty good backup power. Let's close those. Next up is the Battlemaster 1D. This one got PPC. Well, a lot of the Battlemasters got PPC velocities, but this one I felt was best for the PPCs thanks to his other quirks. And I put an AC-10 over there so you can get that 30-point alpha off and have 3 medium lasers to back that up with. Then we got the awesome 8V. It's got PPC quirks and generic missile quirks instead of LRM 15 ones. So I'm using 2 PPCs, 3 SRM6s, and medium laser. Nice little combination between full-on brawling and PPC medium range sniping. So I think that should work out nicely. The Atlas K, this one got Gauss and your large laser quirks, and now that 3 lasers in the large family don't break Ghost Heat, I think it's perfect for this build. It's very cool, as you see, 55% cooling efficiency because of the 18 double heat sinks. Got 3.5 tons of ammo, it's got case, it's got everything. Not a whole lot of DPS, and not a very high alpha. 42 is decent, but it's not crazy. So, I mean, I don't think it's that good, which is why it's still in, like, tier 4, as you see, but I think it's better. Atlas RS, again, this is the sort of thing that I didn't think it got that much better, but, or even any better, but it was a pretty significant change that I did to the build. 4 large lasers, 2 SRM6s with Artemis, with 2.5 tons of ammo. I could see this being pretty interesting. The old one had an AC-20 that maybe is a medium lasers, I don't remember exactly. But 4 large lasers is really nice at medium range, even though it's not like overwhelming, and does have nice large laser quirks. You'll see right here. Large laser cooldown 15%, large laser range 15%, laser duration 10%, and it's also got that 10% missile cooldown. And yeah, it's a pretty significant change to the build, but I think it could be a nice thing to look at. And for the 1G, 6 large lasers, blatantly ripped off of someone in SJR, and I don't even remember who. Sorry. I'm gonna just cut the video while I go and check to see who it was that originally told me about this. It was Piemaker who suggested the 6 large laser Battlemaster. So that's what this is. Pretty interesting. Not as good as the Stalker 4N, mainly due to quirks, but they are high mounted, so, you know, whatever. What else do we got? And the awesome 8T is last. I'm just saying, it changed the Pretty Baby's quirks a little bit to make it better for large lasers or whatever, but it's only got 2 hard points, energy hard points, or you can even fit large lasers. Like, come on, this thing just needs a rework of its hard points. It's like, add an extra left torso hard point, or maybe move the left torso hard points to the right torso and add an extra one so it's got missiles on one side and lasers on the others. It needs something. Please, PGI, make this not complete shit. Alright, moving on. Awesome 8T, got interesting generic quirks. It got 30% energy cooldown generic, 15% energy heatgen, and then a bunch of stuff it already had. And so I figured, why not just use medium pulse lasers with crazy high DPS that'll sync up with SRM4's Artemis, not even have Endo on here. Before, like, all that crap, before all the quirks, it's already got 6.5 DPS, like, sustained, and 14 max. Probably gonna end up being probably about the same sustained DPS, but max DPS is gonna go way up because of that 13% energy cooldown, like, or 30%, sorry, that's a huge difference. But anyways, onwards. Thunderbolt 9S, I believe I changed the build, yes, to 3 medium lasers, 2 ERPPCs, 19 double heat sinks. You're not going to use the medium lasers that much, but I figured it might be more useful to have them than another ERPPC. It might not. I believe it's kept the build the same as 3 ERPPCs on the competitive list because it's a different scenario. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see how everything shakes out. Next up is the Ilya. They finally got rid of those AC-10 quirks, put in AC-5 ones. Using Pharaoh and a standard engine, which I like a lot. So it's got 6 tons of ammo, 2 medium lasers for backup. It's basically like a mini Banshee, really. Next up is the Orion Protector. It's got a Gauss quirk, and so I was like, hey, let's do that and 3 large lasers. It's like a mini Atlas K, except for with regular larges instead of ERs. And I could see it working just as well, if not maybe a little better, thanks to its being 25 tons less, so not taking as much space. And the Jägermech Firebrand, I just swatched the AC-10 to a Gauss. I think Quick Draw's got a bit fucked on these. Got generic medium laser and generic missile quirks. Well, they weren't generic medium laser. They were medium laser quirks. But, like, it's not a lot of firepower. It's decent DPS. It's meh. You know, it's not that good. It's alright. It's not great. It's very cool, I guess. It runs nice, but I don't know. I don't really like it that much. Then I'm gonna skip over the Orion M for now for the Quick Draw 5K, which did get some large laser quirks. Again, they weren't great, but this is definitely better than the 4G was, and I think it's better than the PPC one was. But I still don't think it's as good as like the Wolverine 6K, for example. And then, yeah, the other Quick Draws, the 4H got LRM 10 quirks. I didn't even change the build. Keeping it SRM 4s. It's just better that way. It's dumb that they changed it, but whatever. Orion M went for AC-20, 3 SRM 6s, and just plenty of ammo. Because if we look at the cooldown quirks, it's going to be 20% generic ballistic and 25% generic missile, which is pretty crazy. So like that DPS numbers, those DPS numbers are way higher in actuality. It's like over 20 DPS with just these weapons. It's pretty insane. It's like 3-second cooldown easily. What else is there? Nothing for the heavies. Okay, let's move down to mediums. Wolverine 6K didn't get fucked. It's still almost as good, we'll say. They got rid of the large pulse quirks and put in regular large ones. So, like, I wrote up a thing about it on my weekly blog post last week. At the bottom of it, there's like a huge section devoted to the Wolverine changes. What ends up happening is that you get a bit of extra range, you get a bit of extra alpha strike, but way worse DPS, way worse heat per second, and just all that other stuff got worse, really. This isn't the only build you can run. You can also do 3 large lasers, some mediums. You can do 3 large lasers, standard engine, and Pharaoh. There's other options. I think this one's the best because you want as much firepower as possible, and 3 large lasers, as we've learned with the Shadowhawk 2K, is not that much firepower. Alright, moving on. Hunchback Gridiron. I think I said earlier that I moved it up into Tier 2. Which I did. This is the new build for it. It's just a Gauss rifle, 45 rounds of ammo, and a medium pulse laser. I even stripped down left torso armor so I could fit in as much ammo as I could. I think it's good. It's got decent DPS. It's like you're barely ever going to use a medium pulse laser. If you want, you could run an XL or a smaller engine, run 2 medium pulse lasers, or even 3. I don't think that's such a great idea, though. I think you just stick to the Gauss. But anyways, let's move on from that. Where are we? Sparky. Sparky got a bit fucked. They gave it PPC quirks, the velocity, and no. Like, the hard points are not high enough to be able to effectively use those. So I just changed it up to large lasers and medium lasers. If you lose large laser cooldown and medium laser range, they sync up almost perfectly. And it's really cool to just watch it fucking go. And I added the Enforcer. 3 large lasers in the left arm, 2 medium lasers in the left torso, 3 jump jets, XL260, nice right arm shield. I like it. It's actually decent. It's like a slightly lighter and more agile, thanks to jump jets, version of the Wolverine 6K. The quirks, I believe, are not quite as good as the ones on the 6K, but like, it's got decent hitboxes, it's got jump jets, it's got more speed. I could see it being useful. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all. Alright. What else? What's next? Cicada 3M. This is another one that got fucked. They got rid of its large laser stuff and just gave it medium laser and ballistic. So I did AC5, 4 medium lasers, XL300, ECM. It's alright. But, like, large lasers probably were just more useful. Like, it did get hurt. But, again, didn't get hurt that much. I didn't even bother moving it. Blackjack 1, Blackjack 1X, and Blackjack 1DC, and Blackjack Arrow. I'm going to look at all these right now because they all got pretty substantial changes. The Arrow, they got rid of the AC20 quirks. They put in large pulse duration, which is... Large pulses already have really short duration, so this does like next to nothing. So I'm not even she doesn't have enough room to stretch, so she's like digging her claws into my computer. Anyways, I'm just ignoring this line here. That doesn't exist. That's worthless. Laser duration 10%, energy heat gen, energy range, and machine gun range 40% total. So I went 3 large lasers, 6 machine guns, 2 total tons of ammo. Maybe. The energy amounts are very low, so that's not good. But we'll see. Alright, so that's all for that. Blackjack 1. It still has the AC2 quirks, but I said fuck it, I'm putting an AC20 in. I'm using an XL because it's got extra left and right torso structure. That AC20 ammo is risky, but I think it's worth the risk because I don't really want to put it anywhere else. And yeah, I think it's pretty decent. And the Blackjack 1X, they removed the large pulse laser quirks and gave it nice medium laser ones. I'll admit that medium laser ones are nice. And so, yeah, 6 medium lasers and a large pulse laser. Kept that in because the large pulse laser syncs up with the range pretty nicely with the mediums. And I think this could be a decent build. It still goes fast, 105. It still puts out the damage, 41 alpha, and much higher DPS than that would suggest. But yeah. And the 1DC, I basically just switched it over to the old Blackjack 1 build, 2 AC2s near a large laser, and then as much ammo as I could reasonably fit. It's not that great, but it's not bad. I could work at longer range, but it's not good. It's only it sort of is bad, I suppose. But I put in tier 5 because it's really not worth taking ever. You know? Yeah, it's just how it shakes out. I mean, it's whatever. Moving on, let's go over the other 2 enforcers, which got just terrible quirks. The 5D got an LBX quirk and then like some generic energy. It got like serious LBX quirks, like that's obviously what they focused on, but it was only like a total of 20% on cooldown, which is good, range, which is bad on LBX, and what was it? I want to say velocity. I'm pretty sure it was velocity, which is bad. Worthless on LBX. It's a very short range weapon. You're fucked. You can't. Half, 2/3 of those quirks are useless. So I put in a gauss rifle and 3 medium lasers, and maybe this could do some work. But like there's better mechs. It's like strictly inferior to the Gridiron, I'm gonna say. It has jump jets, which is nice, but strictly inferior to the Gridiron, to the Shadowhawk, to all these other fucking mechs that can do the same thing, but like it's still not worth it on them. And the 5P got fucked too, because it got Ultra AC5 quirks, there's not enough to fit them in the same arm, and when you put them in 2 arms, you don't have enough tonnage to put in anything else. So, didn't use Ultra AC5s at all, I used 2 AC5s, because if I was going to use an Ultra AC5 and an AC5, which would be interesting, which I tried, you don't end up having enough slots or tonnage to do anything but those, because like one medium laser, I'm not going to put in one medium laser or machine guns or anything like that, so I just went with this, which I could see being pretty okay, but really underwhelming, which is why it's in tier 4. And I think that's it. Oh yes, the Kid 3C. I just kind of changed the build a little bit, made it ASIM, ACE5 ERPPC. Alright, and now onto the light mechs. Not much changed. Just gonna go over the Raven 2X, which I believe is the only one that actually got a new build. It got large laser quirks instead of large pulse, and some generic energies, I believe. Nothing too serious, but it did mean I can do 2 large lasers, 2 medium lasers, and it's a lot faster than it used to be with just 2 large pulse lasers. And now let's look at the Panthers. Panther 10K is my favorite, Panther 9R might work, and Panther 8Z, bleh. Panther 10K, ERPPC2 SRM4s. I like it. ERPPC is obviously your main focus. You're going way too slow to be able to do anything with those SRM4s, which is why you only have 1 ton of ammo for it. It's a backup weapon that you use like to clean up messes, basically. But yeah, ERPPC is in there. It's got some nice quirks for it. Could work. You can also, if you like, do the same build as on the 9R, but with 2 ERPPCs instead of 2 regular PPCs. I think it's too hot, but you can get away with it. I think on the 9R with 2 regular PPCs, it's a lot cooler, and you also get some extra, like, it makes up for the lack of ER with extra range, and the PPCs still do travel slower, just because they have the same quirk velocity, but they also have a natural slower speed. But yeah. Yeah, it looks good. 2 PPCs, solid thing for a 35 tonner. It's been played around with in the past, like on the Jenner K, way back in the day when PPCs were the only thing. But even back then it was kind of meh, and that's how I still feel about it right now. But there's nothing you could do better on it. And the Panther 8Z. 3 large lasers is 1 more ton than 2 PPCs, which is why it goes slower. XL235, an external double heatsink, and a jump jet. I mean, if it had the XL255, if it didn't weigh that extra ton, this would be a much better build. It would be probably better than the 9R even, but as it is, it's worse. It's got, what, 10 kph less. It has a non-true double heatsink, because it's not in the engine, it's not counted as part of the engine. And yeah, I mean, it does have better DPS, both sustained and maximum, but yeah, I don't see it being that great. And that's pretty much it. That's basically all the changes introduced with the quirks. And yeah, I'm gonna cut the video to me looking at what other changes were implemented in the patch, just to review those. Just going over the Reddit post on it, because it's the same stuff. Actually, let me move my camera for you. There you go. Alright. Gameplay faction chat thingy. That's cool. I like it. It's good. It's good. It's good. Alright, they did some changes to the social menu. Okay. VoIP. I've only used it a couple times because I obviously already used TeamSpeak. But it's, thank God that they finally added this. It might make pugging a lot more bearable now. And then, again, it might not. We'll see how the community basically utilizes it. What else do we have? A bunch of bug fixes. Nothing serious as I recall. Yeah. But that's pretty much it. It was mainly just the quirk changes. That was the main change to everything. And that's what we've already gone over. So, thanks for watching. Check out tier lists at metamechs.com, which you're probably already on, but just in case you found this video somewhere else for some reason, yeah, that's where it's at. Bye-bye.